So far we have looked at performing two operations with integers, and that is addition and subtraction. So now we're going to have a look at performing multiplication with integers. Now to begin with, we're going to start with looking at multiplying numbers by multiples of 10. What's a multiple of 10? Well, a multiple of 10 is any number that has an initial digit of 1 and then any number of zeros after it. So for instance, 100 we can write as 10 times 10. So we've had to multiply 10 by 10 again. Even 1000 is a multiple of 10 because it can be written as 10 times 10 times 10. So you'll notice something special about multiplying by multiples of 10. Working backwards, you've got 1, 2, 3, 0, and the final answer gives you 1, 2, 3 zeros. So now let's look at multiplying integers by multiples of 10. So for instance, if I look at 10 times 6, well, that should be just a 6 with a 0 on the end, and it is. But it's also equal to 6 times 10, so it really doesn't matter which order I decide to multiply in. The answer will still be the same. 6 times 100 is a 6 with 2 zeros. 8 times 1000 is the 8 with 3 zeros. And 12 times 10,000, well, the answer is going to be the 12 and add 4 zeros to the 12, so we've got 120,000. So that's relatively easy. But what about multiplying integers by other integers, not by multiples of 10? So we'll just move down the page. And we're going to start with the easy ones on the right-hand side, left-hand side. And we've got 127 multiplied by 6. Okay, we begin in the units column, remember? We could have actually labelled all of these columns with their headings. The units column, the tens column, the hundreds column. But we don't normally do that, we just do that for getting started in operations with integers. So we begin again on the right hand side and we say 6 times 7. Well, 6 times 7, this is where you need to have your multiplication tables in front of you, is 42. The 2 is a unit, so it goes in the units column, but the 4, well, it's 40, so we've got to carry it into the tens column. Now we say 6 times 2 is 12, plus 4 is 16. The 6 is a 10, goes in the tens column, but the 1 is a 100 because we were multiplying 6 by 2 tens. Our last little bit is 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So the answer to that one is 762. It's relatively easy and you've probably remembered that from your school days. But what if we have, as we have in the next problem, which is long multiplication, where we're multiplying an integer by another integer which has 2 digits? Well, then we're going to have to start exactly as we did in the previous problem, because you notice it's 127 multiplied by 36, so it's exactly the same for when we multiply 127 by 6. We'll get the answer of 762. And you can think of that as the row that you get when you multiply 6 units, those 6 units by 127. So if you want to just put a little note here, this is the multiplication by units column. Now let's have a look at the next bit. Then we've got 3 multiplied by 127. But the 3 is in the tens column, so it's actually 30. So we're going to begin by saying, well, 30 times 7, well, that's actually going to be 210, isn't it? So that means, well, we're going to have absolutely no units here. So we can put a 0 there. And then we can just forget that the 3 is a 10 and just multiply through. So then 3 times 7 is 21. The 1 is a 10, and the 2 needs to be carried. Now we say 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So that goes into the hundreds column. And that's because we were multiplying tens by tens, which are going to give us hundreds. And the last bit is 3 times 1, which is 3. Okay, now that was the row of numbers we get by multiplying the 127 by 30. So we can think of this as the tens row. To finish off, we add the 2 rows of numbers. So we'll get 2 plus 0 is 2. Let's go back to the right colour here. We'll get the 2 there. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 plus 8 is 15. So carry the 1 across. So we've got 4,572. This last one I'll leave for you to have a go at on your own, and I'll move on to the next page.